everybody, and welcome back to Elizabeth Bird's This and That. Today I'm going to be reviewing actually it's an educational book written by Edna McGuire about Daniel Boone, and it was published in 1945. It shows with words that were used in that would never fly in this PC culture today.
And we're out at the Grassy Knoll tonight. This is the sun's going down, had a beautiful sunset.
It's getting a little bit cooler.
It's getting a little cooler. The Grassy Knoll is between Greencastle and Fillmore, Indiana, near the railroad tracks, the CSX main line. We get quite a few trains through here. It's been very quiet tonight. I don't hear anything on the scanner.
The only thing I hear is the combine.
The only thing that's making a little bit of background noise that we hadn't anticipated is they're doing harvesting.
Yeah.
And these machines will run sometimes well into the middle of the night with big bright lights. They've got to get the stuff out of the fields.
Right.
So, and we're using the Canon R5 Mark II. Earlier, the video we did before, the focus was moving in and out.
Right.
And I was not paying very close attention to the display.
Oops.
And I guess I bumped the screen. The focus moved off to your side a little bit, and then it recaptured. So this time I'm doing the focus. I'm paying a little more attention, putting the focus on Elizabeth where it should be.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll have better luck this time. We're not using any lapel mics. We've got, you know, the nice Rode wireless microphones, but they're at home somewhere.
Right.
And
so I have to project that's
this was a last-minute thing, like it has been lately. So with that, we'll let Elizabeth continue her book review.
Okay. This chronicles the life, adventures, frontiersmanship, marriage, family, friends, and his death at a ripe age. Boone has always been one of my favorite historical figures. This was a man who wanted to settle the woods and live from the land, and he did just that. Of course, this speaks of troubles with the Shawnee and Cherokee, and I wonder if some of those conflicts were exaggerated. Daniel did befriend some Indians, so part of me thinks that there is a bit of hyperbole here. I enjoyed it immensely and ultimately, and I need to get it to my Uncle Jim since he's a direct descendant of Daniel Boone. But let me see.
When was that published?
This was actually published in 1945.
Okay, that's an old book.
Yeah, it's a very old book, and from the beginning, Edna herself, she actually writes kind of a preamble. The story of the growth of America is told in the deeds of men and women moving westward in search of new land, new homes, and greater opportunities. The sturdy pioneers settled frontiers and bravely defended them. They endured dangers and hardship to make their regions part of the United States. Daniel Boone was one of those freedom-loving, home-seeking pioneers. Again and again, he pushed out to a new frontier. He fought boldly in defense of his home. He faced with high courage the hardships of the frontier. This story is written so that girls and boys may know Daniel Boone and understand the deeds of thousands of other pioneers like him. Their courage and daring made America a land of freedom and opportunity. Let's see if I can find the story. I mean the promise. That might be a good chapter to start. Viewing the Promised Land. There is much to be done before Daniel Boone and John Finley could set out for Kentucky. All through the winter, the two men prepared for the trip. They carefully selected the horses that they would take. Guns were cleaned and oiled, hunting knives were sharpened, bullets and powder were bought, a supply of salt and flour was secured. One day, John Stewart came to the Boone cabin. "Finley," Daniel said, "this is my hunting companion, John Stewart." "I'm glad to meet you, Stewart," said Finley. "I know you're a good hunter and able woodsman if you are Daniel's hunting companion. Why don't you go to Kentucky with us?" "I would like to go," Stewart said. "Daniel has talked so much about Kentucky that I want to see it too." "We'll be glad to have you," Daniel spoke up. Turning to Finley, he added, "and we are lucky to get him as a member of our party, Finley. John is a man who would stick by a friend in the face of any hardship." One day, a tall, rangy man walked into Daniel's cabin. Well, 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 good to see you, Squire, Daniel smiled, shaking his brother's hand. Finley, he continued, this is my younger brother, Squire. Daniel told me that you are interested in new frontiers, Finley laughed. I am always pleased to meet a man who likes new country. Squire not only likes new country, Daniel said, but he is one of the best woodsmen I have ever seen. I learned the ways of the woods by following Daniel around when I was a little boy, Squire said to Finley. I was always at his heels, trying to do everything he did. Squire, Daniel said, Finley and I are going to Kentucky in the spring. Why don't you come with us? Man, how I would like to do that, exclaimed Squire. But, he sighed, I have to stay here and put in a crop. Daniel said, we are trying to get the crop in before we go. Why don't you get your planting done and come too? Squire shook his head. No. Even if I were to get the corn planted, it will need plowing. And even in the fall, it will have to be gathered. I'll have to stay. Finley had listened to his brothers in silence. Squire, he broke in, by late fall we'll almost be out of bullets, powder, and salt. Why don't you come to Kentucky after the crops are harvested and bring more supplies to us? Squire looked up with a start. Why, I could do that and still make a crop here. Your coming in the fall would really be more help than if you went with us in the spring, Daniel said. I have been worrying about how Rebecca and the boys would make it out with the farm during the summer. But if you stay here till fall, I know I can count on your helping them. You can count on me, Daniel.
All right.
Children's book, it's good.
What's the next book review that'll be coming up? Radium Girls?
Radium Girls, and then the Girls of Atomic City will be
okay.
The two radiation.
We've got a number of Geiger counters. So we've got spectrometers, radio spectrometers for determining what radioactive isotope is in something that's slightly radioactive.
Yeah.
And we might show those a little bit.
Right.
So the studio is probably a better place for that one. I
might even talk about Fallout too, because this related, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Because it deals with radiation as well.
We've actually got a piece of trinitite, which is from the first atomic weapon explosion.
Right.
And it turned the sand into glass, a greenish colored glass.
Yeah.
And that's illegal to sell it. But if it was harvested back, I think like in 1946, within a few years before 1948, if it was harvested then, most of that was harvested by scientists that worked there. And it's a green glass, and I've got a piece that's got its historical information, who collected it, whose collection it comes from.
And claims its authenticity as well.
And it's got a gamma spectrograph that shows what radioactive components are there, like cesium-137 that you only get in a nuclear reaction. So
you tested it.
Yeah, I tested it
to absolutely make sure that there's cesium in this.
So we'll do those coming up. Sorry, we've not been very active on keeping up with Elizabeth's channel. We just got busy with life, busy with photography projects, and
our trip to Iowa took up a big hunk of our time.
And we took a trip to Iowa to Hobo Days in Britt, Iowa. So I guess we've been out having fun and not really attending to your YouTube channel as we should. So as they say on all these videos, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, give her a like, subscribe to her channel. And we're out here listening for a train to come through. We sometimes do nighttime videos of trains. It's a beautiful evening here. Let me show you the last remnants of the sunset. If I can... The sky was just phenomenal earlier. I took some photos. Elizabeth will probably share a few photos on her Facebook page, but just a spectacular sunset tonight.
Stunning.
And I'm treating the camera's autofocus a little nicer tonight by telling it where to focus, which I totally ignored earlier.
Oopsie.
I'm not using a tripod. The camera's sitting on my left knee. So this was just a spur of the moment. Hey, we got a couple chairs with us, got the camera. Let's do a little book review.
Night. Why not?
And the sun is going down.
Yeah.
I'm using an an 85 millimeter Canon 85 millimeter f1.2 lens, so it's almost dark out here, but you look okay in the viewfinder. Looks pretty sharp, so we'll find out later, you know, when we pull it off the camera. I'm going to take it right from the camera to my iPhone. I'll send it over to Elizabeth's iPhone, and she'll post it on her Facebook and possibly her YouTube. But that's a little bit of an update on what we've been doing. And
tune in next time.
We'll hopefully,
see you later.
We kind of promise we'll get those other book reviews done here.
I have a lot of book reviews. I have a lot of movie reviews
in the next week, and we'll try not to be such a slacker anymore.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you tuning in, and ciao tutti.